Hey, hope everyone is doing well. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about 3 reasons why your Facebook ads are probably not working for you. This could mean not profitable, consistently a break even, or you're just running into issues, okay? I'm actually gonna be giving you a bonus point on top of this at the end, so make sure to drop a like down below. So that's gonna be 4 total points. But before we actually jump into this, for any of you guys who saw yesterday's video, I wanted to bring this up and not just leave it unaddressed because people completely perceived this video wrong. And that was not my intention at all. I apologize for anyone who didn't like the video. It was kind of split both ways. So I ended up actually taking that video off of the channel and making it private. So I'm gonna talk about that further in a different video and like redo it because that was a very, very important message. So as long as you guys, if you actually saw it, that's good. You kind of know what I'm talking about. But that was, people completely misunderstood it, which again was not my intention. So if you did, hopefully you can kind of see the other side because I don't know how or why. I'm gonna have to kind of think about that and analyze why people took it the wrong way. But other than that, in this video, it's gonna be super cool because the primary thing that I focus on day to day is Facebook ads. Now that's primary for e-commerce and then it's secondary for clients. So on a day-to-day, my day-to-day operations are not like building stores, finding products, setting up domains and email marketing for stores. Like that's handled now by my team that I've trained, which is great because Facebook is a skill that A, I want to be learning, and B, it's kind of what I perceive that I'm good at. It's what I really want to be good at. So I enjoy that a little bit more, which is awesome. So that's why I wanted to talk about this because I get a lot of people reaching out saying, yo, my ads are just consistently at like a 1.5 ROAS, like barely break even after product cost, and it's really annoying, or they just can't seem to get any sales. There's kind of both ends of the spectrum. There's people who are also making a lot of money but can't scale further. So I want to talk about this because these are 3 reasons, and the 4th one, the bonus, is going to be one that people don't tend to usually see or think about, which to me is crazy because if you're spending money on ads, and I'm gonna get into this later, you better know exactly what you're doing, be confident in that, and be spending it in the right place. So that'll all make sense by the end of this video. Again, I apologize for the last one if you guys saw it and didn't like it and you took it the wrong way. Again, that was not my intention. So with that being said, I made a little slideshow right here. Actually, I got some foam too that I gotta be putting up, but this one's gonna be why they fail. So the first one is your pixel. And for those of you who don't really know what a pixel is, maybe you don't use Facebook, 10 seconds, it's just something that tracks every single person that comes to your store and takes an action. It's as simple as that. You can look it up, there's videos. So for those of you who know what it is, do you know how and why it's so important? You might be like, oh yeah, you install it, you copy paste the ID code in the preference tab underneath, inside your Shopify store on the admin panel. It's right underneath where you put in the Google tracking code if you're doing anything with Google ads. So you put in your Facebook pixel ID there and it's gonna start tracking within like 20, 30 minutes. So a lot of people, it kind of stops there and then they think of ads, running your Facebook ads, as a completely separate thing. But I'll tell you something, and I guarantee you this, the people that will be able to consistently make money long-term with Facebook ads, as Facebook starts to become more expensive, maybe doesn't work as well or is harder for newbies to get into with no pixel data, those people are gonna be the people who have a properly built pixel in a specific niche and they cared about that pixel. So you gotta kind of nurture it and build it the right way. So what ends up happening is those of you who have no sales, maybe you're just starting Facebook from scratch, right? Brand new pixel, new ad account, maybe it's even a new store and a new product. What's happening is you have to build the pixel. So Facebook has no idea right away who your customer is. They don't know the customer because you don't have any customers for them to base the patterns off of. So you want to start testing a bunch of different things and the results are going to be a little bit slower usually at the beginning. But once you get like, 50 sales, 100 sales, you start building the pixel, Facebook's going to say, okay, now we can see the habits of these people, their buying habits, what they're typically interested in, where they live, are they male, are they female, do they use iPhone, Android, what are their spending habits, what platforms are they on, all that stuff. So that's why it's a very, very valuable thing to actually build your pixel. Now, the second thing about the pixel is people who, you might be in this situation, let me know if you are, because I can probably help you get out of it a little bit. But if you are running a general store, or maybe you had a store and you completely switched it. So let's say you were running ads for a product for a little bit of time. Maybe you got, a couple hundred add to carts, maybe 10, 20 sales. If you had been running a product that is different from what you're running now, like it'd be a different audience, it's a different niche. If you've been running that for a while, and now you're struggling to get any momentum or any sales with your current one, it's not always, It could probably be very simply because the product that you're running now doesn't relate, and Facebook has now kind of started optimizing itself around the old one. So you either want to make a new pixel, or you're gonna have to kind of, at least how I view it, it's like a battle. You have to defeat the old data. So you gotta kind of push through, spend more money, run more ads, and test more to get that audience working. So that's where it's a little bit tough, you know, with the general store. If you're running a bunch of different products, you know, usually you'd have to use custom conversions to kind of separate that, which is a whole nother conversation for another video. But you know, your pixel is very important. Please take that seriously. Learn how to build the pixel and understand that it takes time. You're probably not going to profit day one off Facebook ads. That's just me outlining the expectation for you. All right, so let's jump into this second point here, just to keep us on track. Audience testing. Now, this is an important one because I'll give you the number. The number that I try to stick around when I'm launching ad sets, not campaigns, ad sets for a new product or anything I want to do, I usually end up being in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 ad sets. So each of those have a different audience. It could be a single interest flex targeting, or it could be a whole group, some with narrows, excluding, whatever. It's just 8 different types of audiences because I want to test right away. Now, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 30. It all depends on how many I can find that look good and relate to my audience. So that's a piece where now your budget comes into play. And I know a lot of people try and do Facebook ads when they have, you know, $300 or $100. There's ways to make it work with, like, you know, $400 or $500, but it's not as fun. It takes longer, and it's a little bit scary because if you try and spend all your money on a marketing platform, like, trust me, when I was 16 really getting into e-commerce, I literally had, I think, probably $1,350 in my PayPal account. That's all the money I had. And I sent someone $1,100 for 2 Instagram shout outs. Now, I made back about $300 in revenue. I had to pay about $100 in product cost. It was terrible, you know, I pretty much just lost all my money. So that was all at once, which was even worse. But you know, it's scary with Facebook since, remember, building your pixel is gonna take some time. You have to spend money on that and test these different audiences. So make sure you have a little bit of a budget. You know, that's, again, a separate topic, but $500 to $1,000. It's not gonna be used all at once, but you wanna test multiple different audiences. You know, something that works for someone else, like let's say you have a friend who's selling a phone case or whatever, and it's working for them, and you know some of the audiences that they're targeting, it might not work for you. So that's why you gotta test a bunch of different ones. You know, it's not gonna be 100% the same every single time. So that's where the audience testing comes into place. Now, this third one here, this is a little bit more technical. Now, your breakdown. I call this a 90-10 split, okay? And what does this mean? Let me know in the comments real quick if you've run Facebook ads. If you've run a couple, let's say you've been running them for at least a couple weeks. Have you spent a few weeks running Facebook ads ever? Let me know. Because if you have, you're gonna know that, or hopefully, that whatever you do with running an ad, it's only, and this is just my numbers, I consider my ad only 10% what I launch. So when you launch an ad, you pick your interest, set everything up, that's like 10%. It's a small chunk, it's a decent little chunk, but it's a small chunk. You know, you can think about it however you want. It's the back end. That's where the skill is. That's where your ads will start working. So the other, the 80%, or excuse me, the 90%, so 10 and 90, the other 90% is breaking down your ad. It's that breakdown. It's narrowing towards what was working while you're cutting out what wasn't working. Because if you're running, you know, both ages or all ages, both genders, you're running Instagram and Facebook, it's spending money in all these categories, but the results, if you take a look at them, might be a little bit more focused on just females and Instagram, so you can narrow towards that, and it might work better for you. So that's kind of one way how you can turn an unprofitable ad set profitable, just by narrowing it like that and cutting out the bad spending. But that's also something you have to do to start narrowing your audience. So that's part of the audience testing. You know, testing to say, okay, hey, you're gonna say this specific interest, you know, we ran it for both male and female. You know, it wasn't necessarily a gender specific product, but female was clearly dominant. So that's one thing you're gonna wanna pay attention and kind of look at is who's engaging with you. You're gonna wanna break it down. So that's why, you know, if you've been running ads, you know that you have to break it down. It's when do you kill it? You know, after how many days? How many days do you look at it? When do you break it down? When should you be scaling it? How do you scale? There's a lot of questions. So that's why it's really only a small percentage in the beginning of the importance. It's what you do once it's running. So that's a huge thing. And if your Facebook ads aren't working, maybe you're not breaking it down. Like when I was starting my Facebook ads, and you can go watch videos on YouTube, whether they're from me or not, talking about just the breakdown tab. When I was learning Facebook ads, and if those of you who run Facebook ads are aware of this, it's terrible. I was never told, not even once, what the breakdown tab was for the first 5 months. And by then I was already broke. So definitely not exactly a good situation there. So that's why I focus so much on the breakdown. That's why it's 90% for me. Now, this bonus point inside of here, before I give it to you guys, make sure to drop a like down below. I would greatly appreciate it. This fourth one is something that people don't seem to consider, all right? So this, to me, makes all the sense, but hey, for some people it doesn't. Your product. Now, before you jump off, you're like, oh, he talks about products. Here's the thing. You don't know if your product's 1000% gonna work when you first start Facebook ads. So what is it? Is it your Facebook pixel that wasn't, working? That's the reason it didn't work? Was it your audiences? Was it the product? It's gonna be a whole series of things that you have to test first. So you're gonna have to go ahead, maybe you're starting with a fresh pixel, it takes a few weeks to build it. You're gonna have to run ads for a week or two before you know the product's not working, at least with what I do. So what happens is you're gonna run a bunch of different audiences. You're gonna start breaking down those ad sets, killing the ones that are doing terrible, and trying to go more specific based on what's working. But if pretty much nothing is working for you, then it could be an indication that maybe it's not necessarily the product, maybe it's the page post, the ad you're using. So try changing that one time. If it doesn't work, then that's a good indication that it's the product that might not be the best. You might have to change that. You might say, well, hey, I'm selling an LED dog collar, so why can't I target all these people interested in dog stuff? It's not always that simple. That's where Facebook is a whole technical web of little buttons, things you should do, things you should drastically avoid. So, it is a more complex skill, all right? So that's why, I want you guys to focus in on a couple specific things. And if your ads are not working, first of all, let me know exactly what your problem is down below. I would love to make more specific videos on like someone's thing. I'm gonna start doing some live streams on the channel as well. Maybe I'll bring on some of you guys and help you out live. But I want to really focus in on those things. So also out of these 3 points, technically 4, I guess, let me know which one is the most valuable for you. Which one are you struggling with? What do you think the problem is for you? Again, I would love to talk about it in another video. So with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you get those notifications when we end up going live. I'm gonna start doing that later this next month into March. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate you guys sticking through this video. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to better help you guys. If there's any questions or problems you're having, let me know in the comments down below. And with that being said, I'll be seeing you tomorrow in the next video. Peace.